Palestine, the Israeli regime continues its relentless aggressions against the Palestinian people. Authorities registered more than 9,000 killed so far, among them 3,900 children. In Brazil, heavy rains left 3 people dead in the state of Sao Paulo. And in Nepal, a 6.4 magnitude earthquake left at least 132 dead and dozens wounded in the northeast. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Israeli occupation committed 10 massacres against the Gaza Strip in the last hours, leaving 231 Palestinians killed. According to figures from the Ministry of Health, there are now 9,488 dead after 29 days of the Israeli siege. The health ministry also registered 3,900 children killed since October 7th, while the number of wounded is more than 24,000. Authorities also reported that Israel deliberately attacked 105 health institutions and put 16 hospitals out of service. The Israeli occupation forces have not ceased their attacks against hospitals, shelters, schools, sacred places, among others, in spite of the constant calls from several countries to stop the violence against the Palestinian people. Israel attacks on Gaza continue. The situation is increasingly deteriorating as days go by. The death toll keeps rising with a high proportion of civilian population, most of whom are children and women. Our correspondent in Gaza, Noor Harasin, with the updated report.
Here is what's happening in Gaza, and according to the Palestinian medical sources, the number of death toll here in Gaza over the past month is up to or more than 9,200 people. Around 70% of them are women and children. And now the Palestinians are asking a very important question. What is the number that takes the whole world to take a move for Gaza and for the people of Palestine? Is there like a lucky number or something, or is there a specific action that Israel should do that should move the countries around the world, especially the Arab countries? Palestinians here, Gazans, are very feeling that they are let down from the Arab countries and that they did not do enough. They did not back the Gaza Strip and the people of Gaza Strip enough. And over the past 24 hours, we have been reporting a chaos, a total chaos. Israeli heavy attacks on hospitals, UN schools, residential buildings. One of the latest attacks when the Israeli warplanes targeted an ambulance convoy in front of the gate of the Al-Shifa hospital, which is Gaza's biggest hospital. And according to the Palestinian medical sources, 15 people were killed and 60 were injured. At the same time, the Israeli forces also targeted the Indonesian hospital in northern Gaza, targeted the front gate of the Al-Nasser hospital in central Gaza, targeted the buildings surrounding the Al-Quds hospital in the Tel El-Hawa neighborhood, and also targeted several UN schools. The footage that was released from the schools on social media is heartbreaking. There is no words that can explain the footage of the bodies being left on the ground bleeding, with rarely any ambulances around to come and evacuate them. The situation here in Gaza is deteriorating as they enter the second month of this war, this Israeli offensive on the Gaza Strip. Noor Harasin, teleSUR.
Dozens of Palestinians have been reportedly killed after Israeli forces shelled an ambulance convoy transferring wounded patients from the Al-Shifa hospital to the Rafah crossing. The victims of the attack include Al-Shifa patients, displaced people, women and children. More than 40,000 Palestinians are sheltered in the medical institution after their homes were bombed by the occupation forces. The incident adds one more case of attacks on civilians by the Israeli forces, preceded by the recent shelling of the vicinity of the Al-Quds hospital, southwest of Gaza, and then one near the Indonesian hospital in the city of Beit Lahia. Following the attack by the Israeli occupation forces at the entrance of Al-Shifa hospital, the journalist and member of the Gaza government media office, Haitham Harara, was reportedly killed. The last publication by Harara read, "We will not get out of this and will not go away. They will only see resilience and faith. If we have to leave, it will be only to return to our occupied land or to paradise." While the international community demands a ceasefire, the Palestinian authorities report around 38 journalists killed since the beginning of the Israeli siege on October 7th. Maryanne Wright is a retired U.S. Army colonel and retired U.S. State Department official. She resigned in 2003 from her post in protest of the war against Iraq. The resignation was the beginning of a struggle against imperialism and militarism, which Wright continues today on two continents, currently rejecting her country's and Israel's policies against Palestine.
On October 31st, she was in the Senate during the testimony of Secretary of State Antony Blinken. She and her colleagues had their hands painted red. A colleague shouted ceasefire and was ejected from the room. Wright took the floor and shouted, "I have resigned over the fatal war in Iraq, and what we're doing now in supporting Israel's genocide is terrible as well." She and 10 others were arrested. Wright tells teleSUR that she received a lot of support for the protest.
So, international response to the arrests in the Congress have been phenomenal. Tens of thousands of people from all over the world responding to BBC, to CNN, to teleSUR. Domestic reaction has been very, very good also, that Americans see that other Americans are standing up to the Congress to say no more money for Israel's crimes against Palestinians.
On November 2nd, Wright protested in front of the State Department and called on staff to resign from their posts. We asked him if Biden will lose the election because of these policies.
Yes, I think Israel and the United States killing tens of thousands of Palestinians and wounding hundreds of thousands will definitely have an effect on U.S. elections. So that won't be the only reason he'll lose the elections, but it will be an important part of it.
And on November the 3rd, she is in Istanbul, preparing to protest in front of a U.S. military base in southern Turkey. In addition, Wright is involved in the preparation of another event.
We already have a boat. We used the boat in 2023 and we'll begin sailing it in May of 2024. We hope that other groups will have ships already in the Mediterranean that can sail early.
What is the destination?
Well, Gaza, to break the blockade. Okay? We anticipate we'll be stopped in international waters, our boats stolen by the Israelis, and us kidnapped and taken to Israel, put in Israeli prison, and then deported. But we'll continue to do it to bring international attention to the plight.
Maryanne Wright no tiene mucha esperanza en un cambio de las políticas de Israel.
As Israel will continue to oppress the Palestinians, violation of human rights everywhere. You don't trust the Israelis on any of the agreements that have ever been signed anyway. So don't trust Israel on 1 or 2 or 10 state solutions.
As she prepares to participate in the protest against the U.S. military base and flotilla gathering to Gaza, the 75-year-old lady addresses her last words to us.
Yunus Soner, teleSUR, Istanbul.
In Argentina, social movements mobilized to demand the end of Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people. Citizens protested in the Plaza de los Dos Congresos in the autonomous city of Buenos Aires with banners and slogans demanding a stop to the genocide against the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. Likewise, the government, in addition to denouncing the bombings, pointed out that nothing justifies the violation of international humanitarian law and the obligation to protect the civilian population in armed conflicts. In this context, let us recall that since last October 7th, the Israeli occupation army began the siege against the Palestinian population, specifically in the Gaza Strip, a conflict that currently has already killed more than 9,400 people, mostly children and women. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. In Panama, mobilizations continue to reject the mining contract and demand the repeal of the law and its indefinite implementation. various social, political, and union organizations took to the streets and closed the country's main highways in rejection of the contract with the Canadian company First Quantum Minerals. In response to this situation, President Laurentino Cortizo summoned the Assembly members to an extraordinary session to debate the Bill 1110 that prevents new mining concessions. On the other hand, several social sectors announced that the demonstrations will continue indefinitely. Thousands of Mayan indigenous protested on Friday in Guatemala City, one day after a court announced the suspension of President-elect Bernardo Arevalos' Semilla Movement Party. They are demanding the destitution of Attorney General Consuelo Porras, whom demonstrators blame for attempting to dismiss the votes that allowed Bernardo Arévalo to win the election. Luis Pacheco, president of the indigenous communities of Totonicapán, has said their protest was an attempt to defend the Guatemalan democracy. The Attorney General's office has alleged wrongdoing in the way the party collected necessary signatures to register years earlier. Observers say Attorney General Consuelo Porras is trying to meddle in the election to thwart Arévalo and subvert the will of the people.
We will continue asking the Constitutional Court to be reasonable and rule in favor of the people. We're not requesting something that would affect them. We are defending democracy with our injunction so they don't damage it. We request the prosecutors to do their job and demonstrate they are in favor of the people.
In El Salvador, a group of lawyers asked the Supreme Electoral Court to reject the registration of President Nayib Bukele as candidate for re-election. In the document presented by the Movimiento Justicia Plena, they denounced that the registration of President Nayib Bukele is unconstitutional. They also indicated that re-elections have been forbidden in the country since the coup d'etat of the dictatorship of Maximiliano Hernández Martínez 80 years ago. In this sense, the Salvadoran people assure that allowing a re-election implies a reign of dictatorship for the country. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Brazil, at least 3 people died this Friday due to events caused by heavy rains in the state of Sao Paulo. The state civil defense reported the death of 2 people in the cities of Osasco and Santo André, and a third in Paracaba, all victims of collapsed walls. The rains were accompanied by winds that reached speeds of more than 100 kilometers per hour, causing the fall of 100 trees and 46 landslides. The regional government indicated that the fire department attended around 800 emergency calls, reporting failures in the electric service in several localities of the area. In Nepal on Friday, a 6.4 magnitude earthquake killed 132 people and injured dozens. Helicopters and soldiers rushed to help the people injured by the earthquake, which hit the northwest of the country at 11:47 p.m. local time. Rescuers alongside villagers worked throughout the night to pull the dead and injured from collapsed houses, mainly in the Rukum and Jajarkot districts. Nepal's Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal expressed his deep sorrow over the loss of lives and destruction caused by the quake and ordered security agencies to launch immediate rescue operations. In Europe, death toll rises to 16, and there are more than 60 injured after Storm Ciara hits the continent. The damage caused by the storm has extended to Italy, Portugal, Spain, and 5 other countries on the continent, causing fatal accidents, falling trees, and wind gushes. European authorities have also issued a red alert in different regions as a preventive measure. Also, as a security measure, civil defense teams closed ports and schools, while airlines canceled several flights. The Pan-American Games Santiago 2023 wrapped day 17th on Friday with several sports disciplines ending their participation in the regional competition. Eduardo Reganesi has the details.
3 is coming to an end. A lot of disciplines are finishing, while others are starting out. This is the case of trampoline. The females and males synchronized jumps, while the afternoon is the turn of the individuals qualifiers. United States, Canada, and Brazil dominated the qualification on the women's side, while the same 3 countries finished on top on the men's side, but Brazil finished second and Canada third. At the same time, the final in hoops of artistic gymnastics was taking place, where Maria Eduarda Alexandre and Bárbara Domingos from Brazil took gold and silver, while North American Evira Grisquenas took bronze. The individual ball finals took place, with Domingos taking the gold, Giovanna Santos took silver, and Grisquenas from the United States repeated her bronze medal. In athletics, a lot of definitions this day. Males high jump, 400 meters hurdles on men's and women's side, 10,000 meter race on the men's side, javelin throw on the female side, male triple jump, and the 1500 meter race on the women's side. Reporting from Santiago, Chile for Deportes Telesur, Bastián Merino and Eduardo Reganesi.
For more updates on the Pan-American Games that are being held in Chile today, we go live with journalist Eduardo Reganesi for the latest information. Hello, Eduardo. What can you tell us of today?
Hello, good afternoon. We are wrapping up these crazy weeks of action here in Santiago 2023. We have one more day. Today, Saturday. It's a very action-packed day with a lot of sports. Tomorrow, it's a little more calm. There's less sports going on. Tomorrow morning, especially around noon, everything's going to end to give way to what is going to be the ending ceremony, the closing ceremony here at La Florida Stadium in Santiago, Chile. But as we said, a lot of action happening today and a lot of action happening last night. We saw the story, but let me complement a couple of results that happened Friday night. Mexico got the gold on the female side against the local team Chile. The female team from Mexico won the gold on football. We talked about this earlier, a complicated team. The Chilean team showed to the game with no goalkeepers, only 2 substitute players, all because of miscoordination, a pure planning from the ANFP, the organizing committee here for the national football team in Chile. But way to go, Mexico. Mexico got another gold medal, and they keep adding medals to the total, positioning them on 3rd spot. Another final that happened yesterday was Argentina defeating Chile as well on males field hockey. Argentina, one of the favorites. They played every single final on field hockey since the beginning of this tournament, the beginning of the competition, the history of the competition in the tournament. The strange thing is that Chile never made it to this instance before. It's always been Canada and the United States for the past 30 years almost. The final has been between Argentina and Canada, those being the 2 finals. Yesterday, Chile took the spot of Canada, and they lost, sadly, against Argentina 3-1. But as we said, Argentina, the big favorites always to win hockey. In fact, they're playing tonight in the female side against the United States. The women's hockey team are playing the United States later on tonight. Argentina might add a new gold medal. Argentina, they've not been having a good tournament, but they might end up strong because, as we said, they won a gold medal yesterday. They got a chance today again, and also today they're playing Venezuela in basketball. Argentina is going to be playing the Venezuelan team later on tonight on the men's basketball final, and on the men's volleyball final they'll be playing Brazil later on tonight as well. So we might have 4 medals in 4 days for Argentina, which as we said, they have not been doing very well compared to what they did in Lima 2019. Argentina is way below in the rankings. They're 10th position right now. They finished on the top 5 last Pan-American Games, so they might recuperate today. They might add a new medals, but still they're far from their optimal, far from their best. Other results happening today. We're going to have several events in athletics. The men's pole vaults happening tonight, also the women's and the men's 800 meter, as well as the women and the men 4x400 meter relay. This is very interesting events. A lot of people are coming to the National Stadium. As you see behind me, we have really good weather. Yesterday we had a packed National Stadium, about 30,000 people watching the athletes. It's very exciting for them and for everybody who's present here in Chile. Just before we go, in wrestling, the finals are going on right now. They started this morning with a very good showing by Cuba. A lot of their athletes, they made it to the final rounds, which are going to be happening later on today around 5 p.m. The finals are happening in wrestling, where Cuba very likely will get at least 2 or 3 more medals. Very likely they're going to be gold medals. Of course, we're going to stay here. We're going to cover more action. As I said, athletics is coming up later on tonight, and we're going to have all the details for you guys on the next editions. From Santiago, Chile, I'm Eduardo Regonesi. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Eduardo, for the latest information as always. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Before saying goodbye, remember that we would like to thank all our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscasts and to contribute to provide an alternative new information source, okay? Now, tell you life stories of the people of the South and break the hegemonic media dominance. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.